All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast Gridiron. I'm joined by a good friend of mine, teammate for 3 seasons over at the Vancouver Island Raiders, nominated for quarterback of the decade in the CJFL. I believe he threw a total of somewhere around just under 10,000 total yards, 85 total touchdowns in his CJFL career. I am joined by former VI Raiders starting quarterback Jake Laberge. Jake, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. This has been something we've been waiting to do for a while. I will get it out of the way right now, folks. So I guess this is somewhat of a transition point. Jake, after his career, basically got into his kind of career path. I'll let Jake kind of tell his little story of kind of what he's got going on. That being said, I kind of did steal their name of their company business that they did got going on with the Coast to Coast theme. That being said, 12, it did kind of match what I wanted to talk about too well with the fact that I want to talk about the CFL from, coast to coast, West Coast to East Coast, and then being a Bills fan on the West Coast. So I did forewarn you guys, but I did steal your guys' name. That being said, I'm sure you guys have forgiven me by now. You do give me a little bit of shit from here and there, but I appreciate you guys for lending your name out, even though you probably weren't maybe prepared or maybe wanted it to. But that's maybe, I guess, a perfect starting point, buddy, is, you played football for so long, and then the game kind of brought you to this opportunity, and maybe this is where you can maybe share with what you and former teammate of ours, Trevor Pelland, actually got going on with your Coast to Coast VI real estate.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So like you kind of alluded to there, Trev and I played together from 2017 and 2018 together, or 2016 and 2017 together, won a Cullen Cup. And throughout my football career, coming towards the last couple of years, I transitioned into some sales stuff while I was playing. It just kind of led from car sales at some dealerships to starting on a real estate team here in Nanaimo. And now we're about 2 years strong of, 2 years strong of us running it, just the two of us as a partnership. And, probably, getting close to that 100 people mark of happy customers or clients that have bought homes with us. And, we're kind of service all over the island, the Coast to Coast real estate team. Same thing, right? Just kind of taking care of everybody we can from coast to coast on the island here.
And I'm not too sure how many of my viewers personally will be wanting to, buy a house. To be honest, 12. But where can maybe the people find your guys' website, social media, maybe yours and Trevor's, whatever you guys are willing to give out, email, any.
Of course, all of our stuff, being realtors, all of our stuff is public knowledge. So all of our numbers are online and stuff like that. But on our Google page, we're the Coast to Coast VI real estate team, and then our Facebook, Instagram, same thing, Coast to Coast VI. For all that kind of stuff as well. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and then our Google page as well.
And, it kind of expands to even more, I believe, too, cause with, Joni, I believe, kind of being a little bit in the industry as well, kind of a whole family.
Exactly. Yeah, no, my fiance is a mortgage broker as well. So we both live here in Nanaimo. Since after my playing days are done, we kind of set our roots down here and bought a home and kind of begin to start our family here. And she's in the mortgage industry as well. So it all kind of comes full circle.
So I guess let's get into things, 12, and talk about your football journey, kind of why I wanted to have you on here a little bit. And I guess heads up for everybody, I will call or refer to Jake as 12. That was his football number. That's probably just what a lot of teammates call him. So just if anybody's maybe not sure of why I keep calling him 12, he's not the cops or he's not the ops. He's just that's his nickname. So let's take it back to the beginning, buddy. Kind of maybe if you want to tell our listeners where you started playing football, maybe what program, what got you into playing football, maybe some influences. I know your dad was one of them. Just kind of take us through that kind of whole scenario.
I started playing football pretty young. From I remember I was probably 5 or 6. Funny enough, I was actually a soccer guy. Playing soccer. It was pretty physical playing soccer. I remember from what my dad's told me, coaches being like, hey, Jake's maybe a little bit too physical to play this sport. He's bumping guys around and putting his shoulder down a bit and stuff like that. And my older brother, who's 4 years older than me, as a younger kid, you're always looking up to your brother and want to be like him. So he started playing football for the Meadow Ridge Knights over on the mainland in Maple Ridge. And so he started playing. And as soon as I could, I started playing tackle football. So I think I was about 6. So I started there. My first year, I played defensive tackle. I was kind of like small guy. I mean, when you're in like I think it's Adam football, it's it doesn't really matter too much. So I did that my first year, and then it kind of grew from there. And then my dad started coaching me. In my second year, I started playing quarterback and just never looked back from there. And played, my whole community career with the Meadow Ridge Knights pretty much for the most part. Played quarterback the whole time and a little bit of defensive back. And then when it got time to that junior bantam age, maybe I think it is. It's so long ago now, it seems like, but that junior bantam age transitioned over to high school.
I think buddy, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, pal.
I don't know. It does. It really does. When you start thinking about it, like I'm 25 now. I'd say I started playing football when I was 5, right? It seems, and even just being away from the game, it's already been a couple of years.
Yeah.
But so I think I took a year off when I was in maybe the 8th grade or so, or I played community or something along those lines. And then I transferred to Terry Fox secondary, transferred there going into the 10th grade, played starting quarterback there, started there in grade 10, was a backup in grade 11 to Connor McKee, went to a couple of provincial finals and stuff like that, and ended out my grade 12 year at Terry Fox secondary. I think we came short of a provincial championship. We lost in the semifinals to Mount Doug, and a bunch of guys that ended up being our teammates on the Raiders, and like Javon and Tristan and all those guys. But yeah, it was a good experience. Obviously, being a lot more immersed in football. The program like Terry Fox takes it really seriously. Your 5th class of the day is football, which is practice. You have weight training in the morning. They take it very seriously all year round. We would go every year. We'd head down to Central Washington University and do our team camp. So for 5 days, we'd hop on a bus, we'd head down there, stay in the dorms, and we'd scrimmage against American schools all over Washington State. So they'd bring in 15 or 20 schools, and it was just like scrimmage in the morning, scrimmage in the afternoon, scrimmage in the evening. And it was just like brought that competitiveness in us. So that's kind of where it all started for me. And then coming out of grade 12, didn't have a lot of offers, didn't have a lot of like interest, I would say, per se. I think the biggest thing for me was Team BC in my grade 12 year. Grade 10 or grade 11 or 12 year, whatever it was, went to Winnipeg at the Investors Group field there. It's pretty cool, actually. We were, I think, one of the first teams to really play on it. And we ended up winning Red River Cup there, which was really wicked. And that's where I met Glenn Cook, the GM at the time for the Raiders. Good old Glenn. And so yeah, my grade 12 year finished, and had a little bit of interest here and there. Teams were like, hey, maybe you should play some defensive back. Hey, maybe you can come to camp and try it out. And Glenn was very adamant, like, hey, you're going to come play for the Raiders and you're going to rock it. You're going to be our guy. And so Glenn brought me over to the Raiders spring camp, and I remember showing up to spring camp, and no one knew my name. Everyone just called me Terry Fox. I had this matte black helmet and this black visor, and no one knew my name, even parents and stuff like that. And came to Raiders camp, and luckily, or not even luckily, just fortunately had a really good spring camp, and ended up winning the starting job my rookie year, and just kind of never looked back from there. And then that kind of brought me to my 5 years on the Raiders, which was a pretty wicked ride for a lot of it. It was Cullen Cups, crazy games against West Shore and Oki and all these kind of games, but it was a good time for me.
A lot of things in between. So I'm curious, something that surprises me is that you didn't mention, I believe, Mr. Laberge. Your father had, I would imagine, a pretty big influence on your career in general, but maybe even just as a man, however you want to kind of describe your relationship with your father, and how big of an impact that he was in your career and just in general.
Fucking right. No, I'd love to talk about this. Yeah, my dad's probably like my.
Sorry, I guess to interrupt, Jake, a fellow Bills fan as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it all comes from. I'm a Bills fan, like Cole, obviously through and through. But I get that from my dad, who kind of grew up in Burlington and stuff like that on the East Coast. And it's like, if you're gonna like anybody down there, you're probably liking the Buffalo Bills. So yeah, growing up, I guess
your dad coached you, right, when you were younger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I mentioned before, he coached me probably when I was 6 years old until probably I went to high school. I would say around that time. He was always there. He was the defensive coordinator for a lot of the teams I played on, and I was obviously playing quarterback and stuff like that. But he was just like, a constant, like always there, always motivating me, always doing whatever he could to put everything forward for me, so I had every opportunity in the world to succeed. And not just me, but other guys I played with too, right? I think he became a father figure to a lot of guys that I played with, and just kind of, and just something that people could look up to. And he's just a person in my life that I can't say enough good things about. Even as a 22-year-old, 21-year-old guy, he was traveling to the island every weekend, or he's come to Kelowna, or he was going to Okanagan, and he was everywhere. And he was the first guy to let me know when I had a bad game, but he was also the first guy there to have my back. When I knew I played bad or when I had a good game, the first guy to give me a hug. When we went out and played in Sask and lost, first guy flew out to Sask, for example, and on his own dime, and flew out to Sask was there. First guy that I saw when I walked off the field when I was upset, about losing games. So he's a guy that consistently just motivates me, and it makes me want to be that kind of man for sure.
Yeah, something
and a better guy.
You touched on 12 is playing with you for 3 years is I can't remember a game that your dad wasn't at, whether it was I don't remember if you maybe made every Kamloops Kelowna trip, but
I think there was one where he didn't. He usually didn't make the Valley games. It was always annual trip to Mexico with the boys kind of thing. But yeah,
he's gotta have some fun.
Exactly. But yeah, it was him. His a lot of his buddies. Brandon, Ian, and Todd, and those guys, and they were always at every Kamloops game, Kelowna games, and they would make weekends out of it, which is I'm so grateful for, to have guys like that in my life that care about me enough to travel and give their weekends up to come and watch me kind of live my dreams and make it as far as I can.
Yeah, obviously I had or have a different relationship with my parents, but like speaking from my perspective, right? Like I have family that are in town and probably didn't make it to as many games as your dad did, and I think like that's huge when you can kind of have that support behind you and stuff like that. Pick you up when you're down and kind of support you when you're up. And with that being said, I guess maybe kind of a random question. I didn't really think about throwing this at you, but with kind of the topic of like being a dad, and I would imagine kind of with you and Joan, settling down now, maybe kids are something that's on the horizon. As a father, and I think you said like you started playing football around the age of 6. Are you going to put your kid in tackle football at a young age, or do you think you're going to wait for that process?
As like me being me, I'm not having the conversation with Joan. I think I'd love to put him in tackle football. I don't have a problem with it all. I think football as a whole shaped me a lot as a person and taught me a lot of really really good character traits. That being said, when I have a kid one day, it doesn't matter to me what he wants to do, whether it's baseball, soccer, hockey, whatever it is. I'm pretty open. I'd love for him to play football and maybe name him Jake Jr. or something. Have the the name there. But honestly, yeah, like if he wants to play tackle football at 6 years old, my blessing, go for it. But at the same time, if he wants to do something totally different, it's totally fine with me as well. But like I said again, like football is just shaped, and you can probably say the same thing, shaped so much in my life and it's such a team sport. It's like so different from an individual sport. Like I don't know, baseball or basketball or something like that, where you can have one guy that really takes over. Where I hope he plays it, because it just taught me so many good lessons and gave me so many good friendships and a brotherhood feel that I've never really lost, even being out of the game now.
Okay, so back to you. What my question, I guess, two-part question here is: when did you start playing the quarterback position? And then I guess Terry Fox, probably jumping a couple years ahead. I imagine you probably started playing quarterback, maybe junior Bantam, grade 7, 8. What kind of separates Terry Fox as a program throughout the province of BC, and kind of what makes it so special, I guess?
Yeah, so I actually started playing quarterback way younger. I started playing when I was like 7. I played like my second year of Adam or whatever it was. So I started playing pretty young, and it just kind of stuck. Like I was one of those guys that when I was younger, when we were in Pee Wee and stuff, where I was able to throw the ball 25, 30 yards. So we were able to kind of throw the ball a bit more, which was nice. And I think Terry Fox is a program. It just it intrigued me, and like a couple of my buddies. There was 5 of us that actually went. We played community all together, the 5 of us, and ended up going to Terry Fox. It's just the program, the pedigree of the program. Obviously the winning history. It's like the Bars beating Nanaimo, right? The pedigree, the amount of championships they've won, the coaching they have, the seriousness they take to the game, the coaching they have, and just like the amount of guys they've sent to the next level from that program, right? There's a ton of guys that we played with, but guys, other guys as well that I played with at Fox that ended up going to the next level and stuff like that. So I think it's just the pedigree of the program, and the competition they play and how well they're able to dominate year in, year out. No matter kind of who's on their team.
Yeah, so you finish up a very competitive high school career, like you mentioned. You guys were in the contentions, I believe, a few years to maybe, or 1 year maybe that you were a part of, right? Maybe your 11th grade season that you were a part of.
in my career, so I think in my 10th grade, we lost in the finals.
Okay,
And then my 10th grade, I dressed senior and we lost to the Mount Doug squad with Marcus Davis and those guys. My grade 11 year, we lost what was it, South Delta, I think. Yeah, that was the year I think they went and won it all, or were pretty damn close. And then my grade 12 year, we lost to Mount Doug in the semifinals. So it was always kind of like we had to play in the dome, which was pretty sweet.
So a fairly competitive career. And your high school career wraps up, and I would imagine you probably want to continue playing football. And your recruiting process, you said kind of a little bit of interest. Maybe take us a little bit into, I would imagine, some probably post-secondary schools when it comes to U Sports CIS, were maybe asking if you wanted to switch positions potentially. You mentioned about having that prior relationship with Glenn Cook, what brought you to the island, but maybe just talk about any other previous interest from other schools and maybe asking to maybe switch positions.
Yeah, so I think I met with 3 or 4 coaches. I remember UBC. I remember I did their visit or whatever. I did a visit there, and they asked me if I'd potentially like to play some halfback or some safety. And at the time, they had Marcus Davis, and I was like, man, there's no way I'm covering Marcus Davis. Like, it's not going to happen, right? Like that's and not even just that, but just I knew that wasn't where I kind of was going to shine. I played safety the last 6 or 7 games of my grade 12 year, and had a good time doing it. But I always knew my heart was in quarterback. So it was UBC, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and I think maybe Queens. I had a brief conversation with, and UBC was the one that really wanted me to switch positions. And the other schools are kind of just like, hey, at a 5'11", maybe call you 6 foot on a good day, 165, 70-pound quarterback. Like, you're probably just not the size that we need and the size we want. And that was kind of my biggest knock there. So it was just, and then, you have a guy like Glenn who just kind of gave me the opportunity and had seen me play. And, Glenn, he's not really much about size or any of that kind of stuff. He just wants, guys that can play ball. Right. And that's kind of what it came down to.
Glenn will sweet talk the shit out of anybody. That's for damn.
Oh, dude, I think Glenn still owes my dad a couple Helijet tickets and stuff like that when he told me I'd sign there and stuff. So
I could imagine. So, we'll get into the meat of the podcast here and kind of transition into the VI Raiders side of things. Obviously, we didn't play together for your entire career. We played together for basically the middle part of your career, the middle 3 years. So you come over to Nanaimo. My first question, I guess, just maybe to kind of break it down, just kind of when we kind of go through these years, I have the not too sure if they're 100% correct, but I do have like your stats from all the year. I'll kind of go through those and then kind of just take us through your eyes or your shoes of every year, and we'll just kind of go back and forth and shoot the shit of maybe any memories you have, skit nights, camp nights, being away.
Let's do it. I love
a couple of good stories, and we'll just go back and forth. So with that being said, 2016, rookie quarterback, like you said, you show up to, I would imagine, Merrill Logan Turf Field, and nobody knows your name, calling you Terry Fox. You end up coming out with the starting quarterback position. Quick little jab to a good buddy of mine, Suck at North, beating out North, and I believe Kevin Chopic, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Brody Taylor. Brody Taylor as well was one of the quarterbacks.
Another good buddy, friend of the podcast, teammate of ours. So suck it, Brody. Suck it, North. You end up winning the starting position, and just I guess take us through it, like I said, but just you pretty much get dropped into a fairly veteran-led team. I wouldn't say they had too high pedigree because of, prior seasons not being the Raiders of old in terms of how dominant they were, right? Obviously, I believe that the few other years they were led by, I want to say, like Liam O'Brien. I
think Liam was the couple years before. He was at the year. The 2015 and 2014 season.
And they were always competitive. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't the VI Raiders of old. So my first question was kind of, why did you maybe lean towards VI over maybe a Langley? I know probably at the time Chile wasn't Chile that maybe we were introduced to later down the road, but why VI over Langley? And then kind of how was it being dropped into having to play with D-Rod and Cat and Schuster and Dexter and kind of all that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, for sure. So the first thing for me, like, choosing VI was pretty easy for me. It was a team that Glenn obviously sweet talked me a bit and talked it up a bit. But for me, it was kind of like a fuck you to Langley. I remember talking to their head coach, and I talked to the Broncos as well, and they were like, "Hey, if you can come to camp if you want. Like, we've seen your film. You're all right. It is what
You
it is."
also
Like,
had buddies go to Kamloops.
yeah, I had
Right.
buddies go to camp, some buddies go to Langley, and they're like, they're like, "Hey, come out if you want. We don't really care." And Glenn's like, "No, like you're coming to camp and you're coming to play for the Raiders." So it was like a little chip on my shoulder. Obviously, coming out of high school, I think knowing your own potential, and in my opinion, like knowing my own potential, I definitely thought I don't want to say deserved, but I definitely thought I would get a little bit more and have that chance to live the dream of playing youth sport football or college collegiate football. So definitely come to the Raiders. It was like, hey, I'm going to play here for a year or two. I got something to prove. I'm going to prove these Langley Rams wrong. I'm going to prove the Broncos wrong. I'm going to prove all those guys wrong, and I'm going to come in and just rock it. And that's kind of what I ended up doing. Obviously, I feel like I always played my best football when I had competition behind me, and when it was just like, hey, put up or shut up kind of thing. And that's kind of when I found I played my best football for sure. And then coming into camp, definitely interesting. You're a 18-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, and you're 170 pounds. You have these grown ass men like Schuster, 6'6", and they got kids and they beards, and they're grown ass men, right? And you're a little boy essentially. And I remember my first the first spring camp, and I was like, just wow, this is way faster. And coming from Terry Fox, you play American football. So now I'm playing Canadian football with the motion, with an extra 15 yards of field, with an extra guy in the field. I'm like, wow, this is weird. This is weird for me, right? And I'm just getting used to it and doing all that. And then a funny memory for me is spring camp. I remember Cat, like Ryan Decker, the guys that don't know him like we do. We were at spring camp. It was day 2. He's in the huddle, and I walk into the huddle, and he's talking, and I was like, hey, shut up. I'm talking. It's my huddle. And him looking at me with that look, that look he gives you. And it's funny because he was pissed, and we always joke about it now. And he's like, man, I had a hell of a lot of respect for you after you did that kind of thing. It's like you had to go into a veteran group and just and like kind of earn their respect and earn their trust. And it took obviously the whole 10 weeks or 12 weeks to do that we had, but it was a lot of fun. And I don't know, so I wouldn't change anything, man. It was just so much that my first 3 years were just like no other on any other team. It was just crazy.
Absolutely. So to get into your official stats, I checked on BCFC and CJFL. They were either the same or different for a few years. So I'm not too sure if this is for sure your stats 12. Correct me if maybe I'm wrong.
I honestly I wouldn't know. All I know is my rookie year I threw more interceptions and touchdowns. That's all I know.
So you guys were 5-4-1.
Yeah.
And you were 129, 233, 55 completion percentage, 1,961 yards, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I'm not going to ask you anything about your stats or anything like that. Kind of what I wanted to get into talking wise about your rookie year is, you guys finish up the regular season. I want to see you guys finish third, 5-4-1, like I mentioned, kind of in between. You guys end up going down to face West Shore. Obviously, the Battle of the Rock.
And the Coffee Gate.
Yes, you know exactly where I'm going. So it's a big time rivalry for those maybe that aren't aware of BCFC football. West Shore and VI playing on Vancouver Island together. For West Shore fans, they would like to say that VI stole all the talented players, came up to Nanaimo, made a team in 2006. They can suck it. For a long time, the rivalry really wasn't there. And at pretty much, you were getting when your rookie year, you were pretty much dropped into the thick of things when it comes to that rivalry. You touched on Coffee Gate. You're playing in the. I want to say we. I was actually in the stands 12. I was not a part of the team officially yet. So I was probably licked with Austin, a few of the other guys that weren't dressed for that game in the stands. You guys are playing West Shore, pretty much for those that maybe aren't aware. I don't know if it's maybe exaggerating a little bit, but essentially like the last chance of BCFC that year.
No, they had they were a powerhouse, man. They had guys like Jamal Lyles and
Jay Campbell,
Kent Hicks, Jeremy Drew, and they had
Nathaniel
Pinto. They had what was it called? McKinnon.
Ash McKinnon.
They had any guy you could think of that played at U Sport.
CK.
Any guy you could think of that played at U Sport that was had some kind of pedigree that played from Victoria especially. Ended up back in Victoria playing for the Rebels that year. That was the year where I think it was our first loss as a club to the Rebels. Was the year my rookie year when they beat the shit out of us and like
Jake, Jake's very familiar with Kent Hicks, Larson, and Jeremy Drew, and a few guys on that D line over the years. But like I said, essentially a lot of the guys that pretty much dropped out of U Sports came back to Victoria. Guys like Christian Kraus, Armin Purewall, some of those guys that were on the offensive line, Byron McKinnon, a lot of good players, and pretty much VI, I would imagine, was heavily for what media was around back then, was probably picked as a heavy underdog going into that matchup. You guys go in and pretty much hang with them the entire time. Wherever you want to start this, take this, just make sure you kind of include when Coffeegate happens. And then pretty much I watched the game this afternoon, 12 back, just because it's on YouTube. You guys were 3 points up. I believe it was what was it?
I'll start
with a minute 30 left in the fourth quarter. So just kind of take us through that game overall, and then make sure, like I said, include Coffeegate. And then however much you want to detail that with your dad or whatever happened.
I'll give you the whole story there. But it kind of starts before even the game. It's like I touched on, that was the first time we ever lost them, from my understanding, as a club. Week 2, I think it was. We lost to West Shore, and they beat us pretty bad. And then we played them again at home, and I think we tied them. That was our one tie that year. So now we're okay. We lost them. We tied them. We're going into the the BC semifinals, and we're the underdogs. We know we're the underdogs. We're playing in their park. Blah 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 blah. We're in that game. We're kind of going back and forth. We're going back and forth. We're hanging. This is happening. That's happening. And I just remember it being like a really, really competitive football game overall. It wasn't like, wow, they were crushing us by any means. And then I don't know, maybe around halftime or so, I get hit by Kent Hicks, like pretty hard. I hit by Kent Hicks pretty hard in the second down play, and I'm jogging off to the bench. And I'm feeling a little dizzy and whatnot, and come over to the bench, and my dad's there, and my dad's leaning over. And if anyone knows, the West Hill Stadium or whatever it is there, and the way they positioned us, we were on the fans, the bleacher side of the field, which they've now changed because of this. And my dad leans over and he's like, "Hey kid, you all right? You always pretty big hit and stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." Obviously rang my bell a bit, but nothing I haven't felt before. And then there's some, jack off 8 feet down from him saying, "Hey buddy, you're playing great, Jake. You're playing great." Puts his hand up to fist bump me. I'm like, "Hey, thanks, bro. I appreciate it." Go and fist pound him, and I turn around, and then he goes, "Hey Jake, by the way," and I turn around and boom, cup of coffee in the face. And then he takes off running down one of the hallways, and my dad's standing right there. So my dad chases after him, obviously. He hits the door's locked. My dad hits him. Boom, an altercation, you can call it, happens. And he gets taken down, and then a couple other faithful VI Raiders fans and parents go down there and give him a strong word or two, including our one and only Glenn Cook. And he gets whatever he gets down there. And then our CMP comes down and, arrests them and do whatever they got to do. But, we're still in the middle of a football game, right? I just had a coffee in the face. It's like, "Oh, hey, bam, time to get back to it." And I'm jogging on the field. I'm just smelling like coffee, just like brown all over my white jersey and stuff like that. And we still got to win a football game. And we go down neck and neck with them. And we score with, I remember Nate Berg punches in a 3-yard, 33 lead. And we punched in with a couple minutes left. And we're fired up. We're excited. We're going to beat these guys, and they drive down with 2 minutes left, and they punch in and they score, and we obviously lose the game, and then on top of that, not only do we lose the football game, but now I'm getting calls from every freaking media source there is on Vancouver Island, asked me to do an interview about getting coffee thrown in my face, and we just lost the football game. That's the last thing I want to talk about. Yeah, I mean, so it was definitely a interesting experience. It was something I'd never obviously been a part of. Something I didn't really want to be a part of, because for the next 5 years, it was always a joke that we, people, "Hey, Jake, you want a coffee?" or something like that, or "What's going on?" Right? So it was one of those things that was a weird experience, but it's kind of funny too, right? It kind of just goes towards the story of my football career, I guess, right?
It's one of those core memories as well. As much as it maybe was a dark cloud maybe at the time, we look back at it now and can have a good laugh and enjoy it. So like you said, the kind of the shitty thing about football is when you lose that game, like it's not a series, right, where you maybe are prepared to maybe be eliminated, right? It's a game. You're in the game, and you're probably before it. To take it back, before you're preparing for the next week probably in your mind of we're going to win this football game and move on. And then when it happens so fast like that, you lose and you realize you're eliminated. Some of those guys you're never going to play with again.
That's the part that hurts the most, right? Is those fifth year guys. You see, as a rookie, I got 4 more years of this.
Nate Berg, right?
And Nate Berg and Destin Rodriguez, right? Those guys where you're like, man, holy shit! Like this guy's been my vet all year, my mentor, and he's taught me a bunch of stuff. Maybe got me to the bar a couple times or whatever. And you see these guys with tears, and guys that don't show a lot of emotion like that. It definitely hurts and makes you be like, okay, this year I'm going hard in the off season because I don't want my guys next year to feel like the way these guys felt this year. Right? It definitely it hits deep for sure.
Absolutely. So moving to second year 2017, BCFC champs pretty much. But before we get to that, you come back committed to the VI Raiders. Take us through. This is, folks, not that it's my story. This is when I kind of get introduced to the story. 2017 is my first year playing with Jake. First of 3 years being a teammate with 12 in the same quarterback room. Obviously, for those that maybe aren't aware, Jake and I are playing quarterback position together. Take us through, for me being an outsider for most of this. I was a rookie, so I was kind of just trying to keep my mouth shut and not really pay attention. And also, I probably wasn't really in the loop much. Take us through kind of maybe when. Shout out to former teammate of ours, Jamie Ybarra, former Rookie of the Year in the BCFC. I want to say 2013 return.
Yeah, he took the team to a natty as well.
He returns from, I want to say, a junior college stint as well as a few years with the Winnipeg Rifles. He comes back to Nanaimo with former DI Raider Quentin Bowles as well. What was that like for you when you heard the news of, another quarterback coming in? Not that, Cole McGarvey coming in was big, I would imagine. But take us through kind of what that was like when you heard the news of that and just going into your second year.
Yeah, no, after my rookie year, I had a couple conversations with some schools, again, very similar to my, senior year in high school. And, had some feelers out and talking to some teams. But ultimately, I was like, hey, you know what? I think my second year was the year Doug Hockey took over. And then Coach Hawk was just kind of, we want you here, we want you to play. And Glenn was still there, and hey, we want you to play, we want you to be our guy. And so I was obviously, I'm coming back. I've already signed. I'm doing my thing. And I see that, we signed Jamie Ybarra, this guy. So obviously I see this guy's name sign up. I know nothing about the guy. Your social media, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. You're checking out, all this film and stuff like that. And then it just came down to the end of the day, like, hey, I got to beat this guy. Like, I just have to play better football than this guy plays. And that's all it comes down to at the end of the day, whatever's best for the team and the best guy plays, right? That comes, also when Cole McGarvey showed up, I thought the same thing, right? You got to play some good football. But but then so that's went to camp, and Jamie and I obviously dueled it out back and forth. And it was really close. I remember being really, really close the whole entire time, and I wasn't really sure who, I'd have a good day, Jamie'd have a good day, I'd have a really good day, Jamie'd have a really good day. And it was hard, right? But obviously he's that 5th year pedigree. Me being younger maybe helped me a bit just because I had a couple more years left in my time. And then Jamie gets a blood clot. I remember that. And I remember him being freaked out, obviously, and really scary stuff for us. And then obviously that was kind of the point where it was like, okay, well, now it's time to take over the team and just ride and roll. And Jamie was, man, like he was just unreal. Like he had my back. He supported me. He continued to push me to be better. He every like any knowledge he had, he gave to me, and was like coaching me up. Hey, put your eyes here, do this, do that. He was just the ultimate team guy, and it showed a lot of character for him. So I remember that being like really huge. Still be like, okay, like yeah, we were competing and busting our ass to both win this job, but something's happened, and now he's deciding I'm going to do whatever's best for this football team. So it was really huge. But yeah, it was, as an athlete and competitor, you just gotta see, you see the name or whatever, and it's okay, I gotta beat this guy. Same thing was my rookie, right? I just gotta beat these other 4 guys here and then win the job. So that was kind of like, that was my start to that 2017 year. And then it got, it was an interesting year for sure. I remember that year. It was, I don't know. It was just something else.
So I obviously get introduced to the picture. Like you said, Jamie gets a blood clot. I want to say somewhere in camp.
I think it was going into somewhere around main camp or in close to that week 1. I think we were playing Langley week 1 away, and that's a blood clot.
Not to talk too much about me, but Cole gets elevated in the depth chart to backup quarterback.
We love to see it.
Absolutely shitting bricks. So basically, we go into week 1 against Langley. Everyone probably picking against us. Once again, we end up beating Langley in Langley. I remember. So
Cole McGarvey looks great in a white jersey also, just so you guys know. Looks unreal.
My first game back playing football in 2.5 years since my high school career. Never played any second level of football in my career. Up to date. I remember seeing Jake get hit a couple times, and the classic like backup quarterback go almost like grab my helmet, being like, "Oh my gosh, Jake, get up, get up." the butterflies were never more that game than ever in my career, I tell you, because of just we were playing Langley. I remember Paisley like dislocating
the elbow.
Right in front of me.
Oh, I remember that. It was me, you, and Pip standing there. It was like,
and just So I guess maybe just to get into that year, shout out to you guys as well, giving me the worst rookie cut, arguably of all time. I ended up getting a sunburn.
You got the X, right?
I got a sunburn in my head in the shape of an X, which wasn't fun. I wish I had. I wish I could work this a little better, Jake, and I could probably put a picture up. But I haven't found out how to work StreamYard that good just yet. I'm not that tech savvy yet. So maybe next time I have you on, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, no doubt.
I guess let's get into it, buddy. Take us through. I guess we end up. I guess let's go through the stats here. You were 120 of 214, 56.1 completion percentage. 1,753 yards, 18 tutties to 8 interceptions. We were 6-3-1, and we went, like I said, we won the BCFC that year. I guess maybe that's a perfect way to start. You end up going through that entire season as the unquestioned starter, right? Because of that unfortunate circumstance with Jamie. End up taking over the team, and rightfully so. We get into the playoffs as, I want to say, the 3rd seed, if I'm not mistaken, probably looked at as one of the underdogs as well. And maybe that's, I guess, wherever you want to start that year, but probably finish with that playoff run. We go into Oki, upset Oki. What was it here?
I know we upset Oki, and then we upset West Shore at home, and hop on a flight to Sask, right? So no, so that year for me starts. Obviously, we talked about Jamie. Week 1, we go play Langley. Close game, but we ended up winning it.
I believe we beat West Shore at home week 2.
I think that year they beat us twice. I think that was the year they beat us twice, because I always remember Tristan Waters goes, "It's hard to beat a team 3 times. It's hard to beat us 3 times." And so I think week 2 we played. I want to say Kamloops, maybe.
Could have been, yeah.
Whoever it was. Anyway, so we played Kamloops. We beat Kamloops, and whoever it is, and win a couple games.
Chilliwack week 2. I want to say.
Yeah. Chilliwack,
I threw a touchdown.
We love that. I think we played Chilliwack or whatever it was. So we played Chilliwack, and we win a couple games. And I think that year I ended up getting hurt. I can't remember. I think I did my knee or my something like that. And Jamie ended up coming back and playing for a couple of games. And I remember, I don't know, it was a lot of good things. But what I remember, there's a couple of good stories I remember that whole season. I remember probably one of my favorite things, and it kind of shines to my competitive nature and stuff like that. And I was actually just telling my buddy the story the other day. Is we were going. I got hurt. I think it was week 5 or 6. Jamie plays week 7 and 8. We play Chilliwack and then Kamloops back to back. And Jamie plays pretty well, throws some touchdowns. We win some games. We're feeling good. And we go into week 10 against Langley at home. We're playing the Langley Rams at home. Obviously, a team that gives us some good competition, throughout history of the Raiders' time. And Hawk grabs me and goes, "Jake, if you don't play well today, you won't be our starter going into playoffs. Jamie will be our guy." And I've started for 6 or 7 weeks, right? So obviously you're like, man, fuck this. I got to play well, right? And we go and we crush Langley, and I think I threw 6 touchdowns in the game. And I was obviously fired up, and we beat him pretty bad. And I think I threw 2 to North and 2 to Bryson, and ran 1 and threw another 1 to Finnick or something like that. And we crushed them. And I remember having the ball in my hand, and I'm jogging off the field. We're at Cali still, and we're going to the change room, and Hawk's standing at the change room door. And I take this ball, and I'm jogging up to him. He's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to see you do today." I took the ball and I slammed it in his gut, and I said, "How was that for you?" Yeah. And I went to the change room, and he just was like, "I love that shit." He was just so fired up by it. He was like fired up that I was fired up. I wanted to prove something to him. And that's probably one of the best stories I remember from that year. Is we do that, and then right away Hawk's like, "You're my guy. Like we're gonna ride to these playoffs, and we're gonna bust some heads." And we go up to Okanagan, and we were number 3, they were number 1, or no, they were number 3, and they were number 2, and we were number 3.
Yeah.
And always a tough place to play. Obviously,
we beat them 15-8.
Yeah, exactly. So always a tough place to play in the Apple Bowl. Always a tough place to play. I think in my career, I only won 2 times there, and a tie maybe or something like that. Always a tough place to play. But we go up there, we beat them 15-8, and I remember they bracketed Bryson, and I remember they busted a coverage, and Bryson scores, obviously to make it like 14-0 or whatever. I remember Rashawn Saturday scores that punt return touchdown, and gets called back, and the whole works, and we end up beating them, and we're celebrating like we just won the freaking Canadian Bowl. Like we're like so fired up. We just beat Okanagan in Okanagan as a number 3 team on the road, all this stuff, and we're all fired up. It's like, hey, back on the bus, back to business, and I remember being pretty fired up about it. We go back next week, and now we're playing West Shore, and I remember prepping for these weeks like Okanagan and West Shore. And you probably remember this. We were like so dialed in with our scout team and our film, and it was like calling in sick to work, like anything you had to do to make sure we won this game on Saturday night. And then I remember, you probably remember this, is we knew it was going to be like a monsoon on Saturday in Victoria, and Pip and them dumping the balls into the bucket of water and like just soaking our footballs. And we have those leather Nike balls, so they get heavy and whatever all week, and just prepping. And we go up and we play Vic, and it's a monsoon. We're missing our starting running back, Rhett Williams, Xander, a rookie's playing. And Xander has a hell of a game, but I remember I couldn't complete a pass to save my life. Like it was a tough night, and I think I completed like 6 passes that game. Well, I remember our first touchdown at Trevor Pelland on a seam, backside seam, catches the ball one-handed, makes a wicked catch, and then we're up 7-0, and we just kind of led from there. And our defense and our specials were like lights out. I think Sean Arabsky had like 2 picks or 3 picks or something like that. Mayers had a pick, like. We just shut down their offense like completely, and ended up throwing another touchdown to Bryson, and I think we kicked a couple field goals with James Parker, and just kind of like from the start of the game to the end, we just played like really, really solid football, no mistakes. We forced them to make mistakes, and won my only BCFC championship of my career, and had a hell of a time chanting Raiders on their field, and slamming beers in the locker room and stuff like that.
It was as a rookie, it was something that was special to me to be a part of. Something I think about from that game too is punts, winning special teams player of the game, or how our punter had such a big impact in that game, flipping the field and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and Xander as well. Xander has that, for guys that know him. Like Xander's he was a rookie running back that year. He was probably like 155, 160 pounds, and he was offensive player of the game, and he ran for 125 yards behind our offensive line, who had a hell of a game. I still remember that we ran that trap, and when Decker popped that 3-tech.
Yeah,
laid him down. I'll never forget that hit. It was just vicious. But anyways, and Xander just had a hell of a game. He ran like a man possessed essentially, and just like continued to like didn't score, but like between the 20s, man, that guy couldn't be stopped for 150-pound, 5-pound guy that played against probably the best defense in Canada that night. With Hicks and Larson and all these dudes, he played. He was probably between Xander and our O-line and our defense and stuff are probably the reason we won that game, right?
Yep. So shout out to Z. Hopefully Z's listening to this episode, considering it's you on. So shout out to Z. Hopefully you're doing well, buddy.
No doubt.
We end up beating West Shore 21-7. Booking our ticket to Saskatoon. Take us through that. I know it didn't ultimately go our way. We end up getting pretty much walked all over, but just take us through that. For never going, or I guess maybe you did experience that a little bit with Team BC going to Manitoba, getting on a plane and stuff like that. But just take us through getting on a plane, going across the country a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I did a couple times with Team BC. I did it, Winnipeg, and I did it with Vegas and stuff. And it was definitely cool to travel with a bunch of guys. Obviously, it's way more of an experience when you're with, 50 dudes that you've played with the whole year and you've got close with, and hung out with on the weekends, got big wins with, and all those those up and down rides. I remember again we played Sask, and obviously very perennial powerhouse in the CJFL, and we prepped all week. We knew all their stuff, and it wasn't a fact of knowing their stuff around. It was just they were just at that day, and it was probably a better football team, and we knew what they were going to do, and they ran it better than what we could do. I remember getting on the charter and being excited and leaving the tarmac in Nanaimo, and we were fired up. We had Bryson, who was the most valuable player in the CJFL that year and stuff like that. And we show up to Sask and we get there and we go right to the field essentially, and go to the hotel, check in, go to the field or whatever it was. And it was like a nice, brisk day, but it wasn't too windy. And we're like, oh man, like, and we, at this point, like, we were a 70-30 pass team. We are 60-40, I'd say, right? But we were still missing Red, our starting running back. So we're like, oh man, beautiful day, no wind. Like everyone's talking about the Sask weather. Like this isn't a worry to us. We just played in the monsoon, right? And we show up the day. Yes, we show up on the Friday or whatever, and we do a little practice walkthrough. We're like throwing the ball around. We're like, oh, this is great. This is great. And we show up on Saturday, and it's like 35-kilometer-hour winds. It's like snowing. We're like taping our sleeves up so we don't get wind up our sleeves, and we're freezing cold. And these guys are coming out like no sleeves, warming up. We're like, man, holy fuck, this is crazy. These guys are crazy. And so we go, we play. And we're like, hey, whatever, it is what it is. Every team we played this year is supposed to beat us, right? Why not? Why? Our kind of mantra was, why not us, right? Like, let's throw everything we have on it for 60 minutes and see what happens. And we go out there, and I remember standing out there, and we come out, and they come out like got fireworks. They're coming out to like Nickelback. I'm like, man, this is some like prairie ass shit right here, Nickelback on a Saturday afternoon. And they come out, and we do the coin toss, and we win. We defer to the second half, and they go, yeah, we'll kick you the ball. And we were like, it was like hurtful. We'll kick you the ball. We're like, all right, whatever. And their kicker with the wind boots it into the end zone. They score Rouge, and they led for the whole game. Just and it wasn't even like guys weren't open and we didn't game plan. It was like you try to throw the football, and and I don't know if we would have won the game, but I do think if it was a better day, or the day we showed up before, we would have scored some points at least. But they beat our ass like 49-0. I remember looking at the sideline and talking to Hawk, like, man, like, this is brutal. He's like, you're staying in there, man. Like, you're our guy. Like, keep on going. And they just killed us. Man.
For those that aren't aware, the junior circuit, I want to say the Hilltops won like
5 in a row.
Yes,
they won 5 in a row, and like, I don't know, it was like 18 of the last 25 or something crazy. Like
yes, something absurd. They are the standard when it comes to junior football in the country. They are usually competitive year after year, and tend to be the team representing the prairies. So that once again, like we touched on your rookie season last season, it's probably sad, in Saskatchewan, seeing guys like Kat, Botel, who else would have been last games? Dexter, I guess.
Dexter, yeah, lots of guys. Yeah, Dexter. Just a bunch of guys. Again, those vet guys that you get a relationship with, and it's like, especially for me, like a guy like Kat and Dexter, I spent a lot of time with. It's like, man, you're seeing these dudes just like upset and down. It's like, again, and the hardest part again is now I got to go do it all over again, right? It's none of us are getting paid to do this, so now let's go home and work and go to the gym and train and do this all over again.
So we get into year 3, what pretty much when I was doing a little bit of notes for this, dubbed kind of year to kind of pretty much take over, right? You didn't have any Jamie Ybarra coming in. You had guys like Bowles and Cat and stuff like that kind of graduate. And now it was your team for real, right? Stepping into your 3rd year, probably starting to feel yourself a little bit more as a man, as a player, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine you guys probably moved out at that time, or maybe you were with Sam at that time. But
my 3rd year, I think I was billeting. I think my 2nd year, I lived with Z, and then I was like, man, this is hard living on your own. Like, you gotta make dinner and shit. Like, this is crazy. I think my 3rd year.
Shout out to Sam.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Sam, and I live with Sam and obviously Jared and those guys for a year, and it was great, right? It was just like focused on football, and didn't have to worry about dinner and stuff like that. Obviously had to work, but going to year 3, that was just it, right? It's like, hey, you guys just came off a BCFC championship. You have, you're coming back. This guy's coming back. North's coming back. Everyone's coming back, right? Like, Rhett's coming back. Let's Chang's back. Let's run the table again. And we go at week 1 and we lose to Chilliwack. And I remember that. I remember we're up 31-0 at halftime. They come back and beat us 33.
And that was also the first time we've lost to Chilliwack, I believe,
in our Raider history, right? So yeah, we're up 31-0, and they come back and beat us 33-31. And I was like, oh, man, like, this is crazy. Like, again, crazy, right? Like, what do we even do? Like, you score 31 points, you think you should win a football game, but in the day, both sides, the whole team's got to work together, right? So that was definitely a tough one. And then I think we ended up playing Kamloops week 2, beat them up pretty good, and then we played Langley, I think it was week 3, and that was the game that kind of cemented. I know. I feel like definitely cemented me as far as like talking with CJFL and Raiders stuff and BCFC is like a pretty crazy performance.
And I believe this is the greatest comeback of all time, right, Jake?
I would think so. I mean, yeah, for the yeah.
Okay, so take us through that. I believe we were down, I want to say 3 or 4 scores with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, something like that.
It was 34-7 with like 12 minutes left. So we were
playing
down like
at home versus the Langley Rams.
At home, it was alumni night against the Langley Rams. And the Langley Rams' new head coach was Coach Snoop, who used to be the coach for the Raiders when Harris and everyone was here. So he was like, this was Snoop's return to town, essentially. He hadn't been back in town in what, 5 or 10 years, maybe?
Yeah, a long time.
Long time. And they're beating us up 35 or 34-7. And our OC at the time, Colin Pip, our boy Pippy, came down from the booth and he's like, hey man, everything I'm calling is not working. Like, go out there and call your own plays and do your thing and make this look respectable. Like, make us not look like idiots. And I was okay. So, we go out there and we start just going, hurry up, which I think was the best thing for me is I thrived in the chaos of it. I knew a team would go into a basic cover 3 or man, whatever their base defense was, this is what they were going to do when we went to hurry up. And I knew that for us, I could call all the plays from the line of scrimmage, know what we were doing, and knew the look I was most likely going to get. So we went in and we scored a touchdown. I was like, okay, we're 34-14, cool. We scored another touchdown. It's like, okay, boom, 34-21. Minutes are drawn off. It's like, boom, and we get the ball back, score a touchdown. Oh, now it's all of a sudden it's 34-28. There's like 5 minutes left or so, and they run the clock down a bit. They go for it on 3rd and 1 on their own like 40 for some reason. I mean, they would have got it. They would have ended the game, but our defense has a huge stop, and we go out there. I think first down, I get sacked or something like that. And then second down, we have like a 94 concept on the backside, so like a fade and then a hook. And Eli, who's a rookie at the time, Eli's like a track runner for the guys that don't know him, obviously. And this guy's like pressed up 3 yards, and I'm like, my God, like Merry Christmas. And I hit the ball, and I throw this ball as high as far as I can. And Eli runs underneath it with like a minute left, boom, into the end zone, 34-34. We kick the PAT, boom, 35-34. We just had this crazy comeback, but there's still a minute left. So they got to come down and our defense gets a couple big stops and we end up winning the game. And I remember jogging over to their bench and looking right at Snoop and being like 1, 2, and just counting off my touchdowns. Yeah. And like, you like that, and then just celebrate with the boys. And that was like probably like, it was alumni night, so it was probably one of the best parties I've been at as a Raider. So it was a good time.
I would imagine Montana's was a great time, and then Scout Hut following that was probably a good Saturday night at the Scout Hut, probably a campus event. That being said, buddy, we kind of finished that season. I believe we go 6-4, setting up a Langley in the first round. Like you said, right, we come off the BCFC championship. We got guys like Sean G. Chang returning in the secondary. Mikey Dubs, Al
North,
Eli,
Braun, like all these guys, Williams,
right? I believe was all Canadian that year, if I'm not mistaken, in the backfield.
I think North was an all Canadian receiver. We had Traven, we had a bunch of guys, and we just it was hard.
I know it's frustrating. I can already imagine just talk kind of getting up those memories again, but just I believe we ended up losing to Langley in the first round 37-26, end up going down by 11 points. So we were right there with them, but ultimately end up falling in the first round of the playoffs following a BCFC championship. Just maybe talk about how that kind of maybe just how you felt let down about maybe a wasted opportunity, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, that was tough. I think as a team, we deserved to win that game. I remember playing that game, and Langley had Javon Catoy, who obviously now is a stud in the CFL and for the Lions. Guy's a freak. Just good recruiting by Howie's Aaron to get that guy to come play for them. But I remember their starting quarterback getting hurt, and their backup quarterback coming in. And it's like, man, this guy looks like he could play D tackle. And he was just throwing up bombs to Javon Catoy, and when you're, what is he, you probably know, 6'4", whatever he is, 230 pounds, like, and just all athlete. And when he goes for 260 yards and 4 touchdowns, it's like, what do you do, right? We as no offense scored some points, and but when you play with a guy like that, it's very terrible. When I was growing up playing, community football, we play against Chase Claypool. It's like, you can only stop a guy so many times. It's so good, and then eventually he's just going to start making plays. So it was definitely a frustrating one. It was definitely a big letdown because we thought we had a lot of potential and we matched up well. I think my whole 5 years, every game we played, we were never a team where it's like, oh, this team's going to walk all over us. Every team that came and played us was like, hey, we got to bear a game because these guys can, any given day kind of thing can win. So that was definitely really frustrating. And then the end of that season, our then head coach Hawk obviously left, which was definitely a shitty one because definitely was a really good head coach and good for morale and kept the boys going.
I think not to maybe say too much as well, but kind of maybe the culture shifted a little bit with Hawk. Shit didn't really fly, and not maybe to really say that shit got like there was kind of maybe visa got taken advantage of, but I just think maybe in terms of strictness, I guess maybe is the right word. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's just different era of football, and and just different personalities, right? Like Hawks, a no bullshit kind of guy. I remember him being our DC my rookie year, and I was scared shitless of the man. He just had this quiet intensity about him, and I remember the glasses lean and stuff like that, and he'd look at you and you knew you fucked up. He just had this quiet intensity about him. He demanded respect, and and you had to earn it. And I'm not saying you didn't have to do that with Kurt, but Kurt's definitely a lot more of a outgoing kind of guy, and your buddy and stuff like that. And they're just a lot different, and not even just him, it's just football over the last 10 years has gotten softer. Like every year I go out and I coach now, and you see these guys, and it's just, man, this wouldn't fly when I played. This wouldn't fly in my first couple of years, right? It's just, rookies wouldn't talk like that. A vet would put you in your place, and it's just a lot different than it was in the past, right? So the culture definitely shifted, that sucks. I definitely think we missed an opportunity there in that 2018 season to again do something good.
So Hawk leaves. I want to say early in the offseason. I want to say it was like January or February. We're kind of dropped with this news that Hawk was stepping away and Coach Ibiza was stepping in as the head coach. Going into 2019, my last year, your 4th year with the team now. And unfortunately, I guess to get ahead of things, we end up losing in the first round for the 2nd year in a row. Just maybe take us through that. Take us through this year. I believe you end up getting hurt in West Shore, and
yes. This is the Cole McGarvey year. This is your I remember this year. This was wicked. Like I said, obviously you and I have a really good relationship and a good connection. And obviously when you played as well, we had a really good quarterback room between me, you, and Jamie. It was always kind of me, you, and somebody, right? We were just a good group to be around. Gabe or whoever it was, right? And we had a good group going on. And that was the year, week 2, I separated my shoulder. I remember that. Ran over to not toot my own horn or anything, but ran over Byron McKinnon, I think it was, for a touchdown in West Shore and popped my shoulder, or separated my shoulder. And I missed a couple weeks. I think I only played 5 games that year, and you played 5.
I played 4, and Keegan started 1.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So that's because your ribs, right? And I remember being banged up, and obviously as a competitor, as much as you love seeing your boys succeed, and obviously said me and you had no animosity. It was all love for both of us, either whoever was on the field. But definitely, you want to play and be a competitor, and it sucks to see your team, lose some of those games where you're like, damn, I would have made a difference if I was there, kind of thing. So that was definitely just a tough year overall, and 5 games is a lot to lose when you only have such a short career, right? You only get 50 games, really, 50 guaranteed games in the CJFL as a player, and when you lose 5 of them and 2 of them here, and you miss a lot. So definitely was it wasn't fun for that set, but it was fun to see your boys see you thrive and throw touchdowns and dance in the end zone and stuff like that. So that was all good.
Yeah, buddy. So this is also something I wanted to get into a little bit as well. And like you mentioned, right, we had a very good relationship for a lot of our playing days together. Obviously, maybe took a little while, maybe not our first year playing together, probably just building a little bit of a relationship, understanding one another, kind of growing that relationship over time. I kind of see it both ways. Like I would imagine we kind of see very similar when it comes to our relationship. Obviously, we're both competitors, but both love to kind of see each other thrive. When it came to the QB room, right? Like something that like I think that I love too is like I guess kind of what I'm alluding to, but just maybe if you could detail a little bit more, is that like we both probably were competitive, right? Where we both wanted to be on the field, right? You touched on it, like when you got hurt and maybe being in some of those scenarios where you maybe thought like I could have probably helped the outcome a little bit. Me being a backup, right? Like I think I did a very good job of kind of supporting you in most ways, right? Like maybe I didn't see everything or maybe tell you everything like maybe the way that Jamie did, I guess maybe is like compared to, but I figured that our relationship was fairly good over the 3 years. But that being said, just the competitive side of things kind of taken over. But just anywhere you want to maybe go with kind of how we were able to benefit each other and be like key to each other through the 3 years, right? Watching film and stuff like that and that kind
doing
of
all that. Doing all that. So exactly. Our rookie, obviously, we didn't have that great of a bond, and then our second and third year, as you get to know each other more in the off season, that kind of stuff, and hang out, you obviously build that quite a bit, and definitely, I mean, for you, it's a progression point. Like you think about where you came from your rookie year, where you were shitting your pants, and to where in my opinion, you probably could have, and not to sound like a dick to my, you probably could have started on a lot of the other teams, right, and been the guy, and 4 or 5 of the other teams in the BCFC, right, out of the 6, right. So you were ultimate team guy first, which was wicked, and you said have a guy behind you that's obviously wants to play, but also there to support you and stuff like that. Same way I was when I was hurt and stuff like that. And even games where I was, where I was dressed and you were playing well, and when I was kind of coming back from injury, where I'd say, hey, Cole's still riding, like, I mean, I remember in Chilliwack, right? Or Kamloops, where it's like, hey, I'm ready to go, but Cole's playing well, so just let him ride. So yeah, I think we had a really good dynamic, and it made it easy. It wasn't you weren't always like I guess looking over your shoulder in a sense. You weren't like, oh, the guy behind me trying to fuck me over or take my, he's obviously wants your spot, he's got it for your spot, but not in a way where it's like vindictive or he's trying to fuck take your spot in a bad way. He wants whatever's best for the team, but at the same time he wants to be on the field and play, which is always a good thing to have in a in a 1-2 quarterback kind of battle.
Yeah, I think you probably understand more than maybe some of the viewers of kind of both of our competitiveness, right? And like I'm sure it's the same way, right? Like our competitiveness that we respect each other, but sometimes it takes over where like not that you would say it in like a like rude way, but like we probably both thought we were like better than each other, maybe gave the team maybe a better opportunity to win, right? Where my kind of competitiveness, and I think you kind of saw this throughout our careers, like I understood that you worked for it a lot more than I did, right? With kind of off the field things, right? Where you put on probably, throughout your career, what, maybe 20, 25 pounds of
I came in as like 165 pounds, 170 pounds. And I think, I was, my heavier years, I was bigger, but, in my good years, 200 pounds, 205 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, right? So I definitely, worked hard in the off season and lifting weights and running and doing all that kind of stuff, where I felt like, I deserved to play. And it definitely frustrated me when, when injuries came, because it's like, man, you work your ass off all off season and then this happens. Like, it's definitely pretty devastating, right? So.
And that's where I understood, right, where like my competitiveness was there, which I'd imagine, but like I understood that you worked for that opportunity for your body to kind of, you saw, right, where in 2019 where I wasn't even able to last full like 5 games or something like that, right, only able to play 4 games, right, where you kind of had your body at a state where you could kind of take those hits for a full 10 games, right? I would imagine those other 2018, 2017, you probably played around 8 games or something like that. So
yeah, I missed a game or 2 here or there. But then definitely the shoulder one was, my throwing shoulder was definitely the worst, and was able to rehab it enough to get back when you got your ribs pretty jacked up. So.
And then like with the work in the off season, you probably had maybe another 15, 20 yards on me, throwing wise, and then just the velocity as well, probably coming out of your hand a little bit quicker, right? Where I could probably make some of the throws that you could make, but not all of them due to just arm strength, stuff like that. So I hope just probably a conversation we've never had, buddy, but I hope that you, always saw that I was a competitor, but I understood that, you worked for everything that you had and kind of that opportunity was right.
100%. No, 100%, man. And like I said, I respect and love the relationship we had now, but also when we played ball, it was, like I said, it was always love. It was like, you're first guy on the sidelines to, dap me up when I came off the field, good or bad kind of thing. And then same way for you, right? I was always kind of, when I was on the bench or up in the booth, I was always rooting for you, right? It was kind of, we understand that we're competitors, but hey, this is a ultimate team game, and we need to be there for whatever's best for the team, right? We're just hard when Gabe played. That's all. So
due to the fact that we both have girlfriends, I don't know if we were maybe the number one cheerleader of each other, but maybe number two cheerleader of each other. Supporting each other when we came on and off the field. I know definitely, I definitely killed my cat buddy when you were hurt. Doing that for me, I appreciate that. I don't know if I've ever said that to you, but I appreciate you and everything you've done for me as well. But 2019, we end up unfortunately not coming out on the right side of things, losing down in West Shore. My very last game of my career. I remember being just so weird. I would imagine we'll get into it from your perspective, but just when you finally realize you're never going to play football again, it's a weird feeling. And I guess any other thoughts on 2019 before we get off of it?
No, again, you said, so you have that same feeling when you at the end of the season, win, lose or draw. It's kind of like, hey, damn, there's a bunch of guys I'm never going to play football with again, right? You look at yourself and North and Braun and a bunch of these dudes right in the hills, and a bunch of guys that you battle with for years and years, and putting these hundreds of hours or whatever it is in film and practice, and it's like, damn, like I kind of hated that dude, but like I love him still in a way that's like, damn, like I wish, you know what I mean? And you probably know the guys I'm talking about more than anything, but it's like, a couple of those guys where you're like, man, I'm gonna miss playing with him though.
Shout out to the Hills. As much as I like the Hills now, there's no other twins or people that I love to hate or hate to love, whatever you want to call it, because I did love them as brothers, as teammates. But sometimes, especially in practice, I think back to maybe I don't know if it was a spring camp or a main camp up in Parksville. I believe Matt hit you. I believe Will hit Matt
on the arm. Yeah, I remember that.
Matt hit you. Will hit Matt. Big team fight, and then I believe I guess that's another good kind of story. Not to get into it too much, but nothing like a good camp fight. I believe after Matt hit you, Will hit Matt. I believe Mike tried to mount Chang.
And then we ran. I remember us running for a bit, and then like 3 plays later, another fight breaks out, and he just ran us again. I was like, man, like the first fight wasn't enough.
Yeah, some good times. That was my only chance to go away for main camp. I don't know about you. I want to say your rookie year. You guys went away.
I did my rookie year, and my third year. I think it was the 2018 year, 2019 year, whatever it was. And yeah, no, it was definitely a lot of fun. I think the teams that I went away with, were probably the closest. I mean, that 2017 year, obviously we were really close as well. But that rookie year team and the year we went away was definitely the years where I felt like, damn, like we have a really good bond, right? Like everyone kind of knows each other. You go away for those couple of days, and those dog days of summer where it sucks to do 2 a days and hop in the ice bath. It's a lot easier when there's 60, 70 other dudes doing the exact same thing and feeling the same way you're feeling, right? So, yeah.
So I believe we lose, I want to say October, November 2019. Obviously, if you guys aren't aware, January, February, maybe March 2020, the world shuts down due to a world pandemic. I'm sure everyone's aware. You have to pretty much wait a full year, pretty much wait in limbo, I would imagine. I want to say U Sports did not play as well that year. There was no football.
Yeah, nobody played. It was just, I think the NFL played with no fans, right?
In the country. Nobody played in the country other than the NFL, and I want to say maybe college football, but a limited schedule or something like that. So there was no football in the country of Canada for 2020. You have to wait a full year to play in 2021, your last season, and your final season. So I guess this is anything that comes to mind, Jake, when it comes to your last season.
Again, I think you start realizing, especially my last season, it was usually we play 10 games, and it was an 8-game season. So you realize, okay, now I'm limited to 8 games, and you start kind of realizing, like, damn, this is like really short. Now you're becoming the guy you thought about your rookie year that was like crying when the season was over and upset, right? It's crazy to think that. I don't know. It was good. It was a different year. We changed venues, obviously, which I hated. We changed to NDSS Park and in Caledonia, which is no doubt. Hey, but yeah, we changed to NDSS, and I hated that personally. It was, I'm pretty open to whatever. I'll play whatever it is, but something about Caledonia Field, the grass, the atmosphere, how shitty it was, how everyone else hated it. You know, it just all kind of played into that effect of like how much I loved it. The guy with his lucky motorcycle ripping the engine when we scored, right? All that kind of good stuff. So switching to NDSS wasn't the best, but you know, it is what it is. And then my last year was just, you know, it was fun to be like the guy. You know, it was kind of through my last couple of years I was the guy, but for that year to be the guy, and have a lot of fun and, you know, essentially run the offense, you know, by myself, and, you know, obviously with me and the OC, but calling a lot of the plays and you know, doing a lot of the prep and stuff for the week was fun. It definitely made me you realize like, man, if I knew all the stuff I knew now in my rookie year, I would have been a stud. I would have broke every record, right? You realize you don't need to take deep shots, take the hooks, take the outs, take the easy stuff, right? It makes you just reflect a lot on like, you know, what the game's given to you and stuff like that. I remember that year banged up my knee, and that was the one year we didn't have a backup where it's like, okay, Jake, like what did I do? I partially like tore my ACL and a couple other things, and there was like, hey, get a brace and go, right? And it was a tough year. It was definitely a lot of like a mentally challenging year. And then I remember my last game, round one, which seems like a common theme in my career for the Raiders, is round one we go up and play Oki, and we lose like 35-0. And I remember my dad up there, and I remember hugging my dad and just crying, just being like, man, that's it. Like all this time, everything I've given, and like that's it. Like I'm just gonna be forgotten. And like, you know, you have this, you know, because you know, like, you know, football's so much it's part of who you are, like character wise, personality wise, persona, right? All these things. And I remember thinking like, man, I'm just gonna be forgotten, and like, who am I now? What's gonna happen? I remember like cool thing for me was like a lot of the Oki guys that I played with against, you know, battled with for 5 years, coaches, like 35 guys came and found me after the game and like hugged me, shook my hand, was like, man, you were a guy I played with, a guy every year that we had to watch out for. I remember that being a really cool feeling. But I remember just kind of feeling a little bit lost, like, damn, like this is crazy. Like I've done this for, you know, 15 or 17 years of my life, and now what? And then just kind of going into the off season and really just trying to decide what I'm going to do, and if I'm going to go try to play in Europe or go to U Sport for 2 years and battle, and, you know, battle that side of things. And I just kind of ultimately decided that this is when I kind of got into my real estate journey a little bit more in my career, and decided that I wanted to, you know, pursue that and build a family life and like, you know, life after football. Because, you know, unless you're playing the NFL or the CFL, it ends for everybody at some time. And at least this way I left the game in the way I wanted to, and not because I you know, I couldn't play anymore. The way I felt, I spoke to a couple of teams in, you know, Norway and Germany and a couple other teams, and just felt like, you know, do I want to go across the world to play football for 6 months and stuff like that? And my ultimate conclusion was, you know, what I'm doing now in the Nanaimo and building a family and that kind of stuff and giving back to the team and the community is probably more important than me, you know, living out a couple more years of my football career over in Europe.
For me, it's like the routine of things, 12. And that's kind of why I started the podcast, to distract me a little bit. But I kind of, I went back in time a little bit there when I'm not helping out as much as you, but when I was able to come out to practice the other week, going to work, going home and quickly getting something to bite to eat, and then going to practice. I know they don't do film and stuff like that, but that routine of going to work every day for your 8 hours, getting off work, you know, maybe around 3 or 4 o'clock, you have like, you know, that hour and a half, 2 hours to kill before you have to get to
maybe a quick nap and a bite, and then you're off for practice, right?
And honestly, 12, not to have a quick nap, honestly, because I know there was a couple of times I had a quick nap and I didn't set an alarm, and I was probably late to a practice or two. But a quick nap if you're responsible and able to set an alarm. But that kind of routine of like every day, right? You know what you're doing. You're going to work. You have that hour and a half to yourself to do whatever you want to do. And then it's, you know, go to Comox. You guys are watching film and meetings, walk through, and then you got the practice, right? And then it's kind of wake up and do it all over again. And then when you realize like you don't have that, it's like something that's missing in your life. And
we have all this free time now, right? All this spare time you didn't have for 5 years.
That's why I coached previously, but then just falling out of a little bit out of a love with it, just due to not even football, but just due to, unfortunately, the kind of circumstances at ND, and just kind of, I feel like the lack of love with it kind of, it just kind of dampened me with coaching personally. That's why I switched over to kind of podcast. I feel like that was maybe a little bit more of, I feel like my energy would kind of be placed and kind of be given back to me. And I felt like that's what's been happening. So to close out, I'll get a little bit, I guess, sentimental, or kind of just, I guess, a little bit deep, I guess. But you end up, what did Catley you like to say? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 6-year Raider if you count the COVID. So you are a rare breed, my friend. A 6-year Raider, but just whatever you want, whatever comes to mind, even if all the camp nights, the bus rides, all that stuff, the overnight stays in Kamloops and stuff like that. What does it mean to you to kind of be a Raider, looking back on it now?
Yeah, no, I just that stuff, right? The stuff you're gonna miss the most is the bus rides and the camaraderie and the friendships that you made, obviously. And you're gonna make you sad. I don't know. It's no, just kidding. No, you're gonna just those that family vibe you build up, obviously, and then the second family I made here, obviously being from the mainland and having people like Sam and you and North and Josh Williams and all these guys that now are still in my life and still big parts of it. I'm getting married next year, and a lot of these people that are going to be standing there cheering me on again when I obviously get married is it's a really important thing, and it's really exciting to me that and it really feels like me. I made I always kind of joke around like, oh man, I wish what would have happened if I went to Oki or if I would have went to Langley, when they won those national championships. And winning and all that stuff's good, but the life I've built here is I think is a lot more important than kind of the wins and losses and just kind of the character I've built and the family and the life I've built here is definitely a lot more important. I think that's kind of what it means to be a Raider, and coaches always said this, and I bet you a lot of coaches say it is, I want you to be a good player, but a great man, right? And I think that's kind of ultimately what I learned from the Raiders is how to be a great man and a leader and a provider and all those things, and get up and go to work every day in the sense of not just going to your job, but those nights where you didn't want to go to practice or didn't want to get up at 5 a.m. and go on a bus trip is those things that you kind of carry through for the rest of your life. You just kind of always that 2017 year, you put your get your lunch pail and your work boots and your hard hat and go to work, right, and get it done. So those are kind of the things that signify for me, becoming a Raider and stuff like that.
As maybe corny as it sounds, or kind of maybe cliche, but it kind of, I feel like your junior career, your time period in your junior career turns you into a man, if you will. You kind of start to mature a little bit and learn to kind of handle your shit during the day, right? The go to work and kind of, you don't want to go to practice, you don't want to go to film, especially those dog days. You get after maybe week 6, week 7, you're starting to kind of get a little bit longer in the season where you're playing teams like for the second time.
Or it's October and it's raining and it's cold and you were just in the rain for 8 hours, hammering nails at work, and all of a sudden you got to go home, have a shower, and then you're off to practice for 3 hours in the rain. Like it's not fun. And man, if I had $1 for every time I said, man, fuck, I should stop playing football today. Like seriously. But yeah, those are the things that kind of toughen you. And it's that kind of also too is like now after you a couple years out and coaching and just meeting guys again that I played against and stuff is like, we all have the same kind of mindset and mentality of just hard workers and stuff, which is I think again, when you go back to that, we talked about asking about my son, if I ever had a son, if I'd let him play, is teaches you a lot about being a man and building character and stuff like that. Is I think that's what the sport does overall, and just molds people.
Shout out to Sam once again. When it comes to what it means to be a Raider, to me, I think of Ohana, right? Like family, right? It's kind of looking out for one another, and maybe you're not maybe the biggest fan of maybe your younger brother. I think of maybe a shout out. I don't think he's probably listening, but maybe a Quentin Sherman on the bus. Have a little bit of a trip after maybe an edible or two that maybe he shouldn't have. Maybe you don't probably love it, but that's your brother, right? Handle it. Make sure he's okay.
Look at your brother right now. Look at your brother, right? Yeah,
exactly,
no, those
right?
those are moments, and those are moments you're never gonna forget, and like you always remember. And 10 years from now, when we sit down and have beer, we're still gonna joke about the same shit, right? Like, so yeah. But I think you nailed it with that over there, man. That's just that's it, family, right? And I think us different than a lot of other teams is the culture we have with with our alumni and stuff, and having guys back. Like you look at the Raiders this year and struggling a bit, and not to get too deep into it, but it's a text out from Sam to 10 alumni being like, hey, I need you guys here tonight. And, there's eight or nine guys there ready to, ready and willing to, help and sacrifice maybe some family time and some personal time to, help the team that kind of shaped him. I kind of felt like an obligation to go out and help. Like I was like, man, this team did so much for me. What's a couple hours a night for my life.
All right, 12. I'm going to put your feet to the fire, buddy. I'm going to ask you the hard-hitting questions now, all right?
Okay, let's do it.
Are you the best quarterback in VI Raider history?
Oh man, that's hard. Wow. You didn't tell me about that. Dude.
Hey, remember this is I know I don't get a lot of viewers. This is on record.
Yeah, no. So I mean, You look statistically, obviously not, right? But I think, yeah, I think if you put me on those teams that with Andrew and those guys that were there, I think I would be in the same boat. And I think if you put Andrew or Jordan on and stuff like that on the teams that I played on, he'd be very similar to where I was. And that's my honest opinion. I think I'm a competitor, and if I said anything different, I think I'd be doing myself a disservice. I think I'm just as good as that guy, if not better, if we were in the same situation.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's part of football that I've learned definitely from, not to give him too much credit, but I look at somebody like North, even someone like yourself, right? You've always kind of carried yourself with a little bit of kind of that swagger, I guess, if you want to say, like, of kind of walking that line of arrogance and cockiness to maybe some people, but being confident in yourself, right? And I expected you to say that, right? And I know not to get into it too much, not to debate too much. I don't necessarily agree, but I expected that answer 100% coming from you, right? And as a competitor, right, I like you said, if you said anything else, I would think you're kind of underselling yourself, right? And it's unfortunate because we can only kind of debate it on something like this and go back and forth. We can't, unfortunately, drop you back in time and kind of have you in that offense with some of those studs. Something that I definitely will say is probably, and maybe I won't even say that. I'll say that for off air, probably a little bit too disrespectful.
I got to hear it now. Come on now.
Well, and it's not disrespectful to you. It was maybe disrespectful to some of our teammates, but just maybe some of the offensive lines that probably Yancey had. I know probably that maybe you look at maybe the receiving core, but I would tend to maybe defend some of the receiving core and probably say maybe it leans.
I was blessed, man. For my pretty much all my 5 years, I had studs across the board, right? I had guys like Bryson and North and Eli and Mike and obviously our big dog Plume and Braun and Brett and all these guys, right? Guys that were all athletes that can play. At the end of the day, quarterback or running back or a receiver core is only as good as our offensive line, and we had a lot of great guys and stuff like that. But as units, we weren't always the strongest there, and I think a lot of guys we played with can agree to that. Again, not offensive or mean. It's just the truth, and it's something we struggle with over our years of playing, right? So
absolutely. Okay, buddy. Like I said, not to debate it too much. I didn't expect anything else other than for you to say that you were the best quarterback in VI Raider history. If you guys are watching on YouTube, comment below if anyone's a Raider in the Raider family. Hopefully you guys can get on the good debate. Who do you guys think is the best quarterback in VI Raider history? Carly, at least, hopefully somebody comments for Cole McGarvey in there somewhere. Hopefully I get at least one comment being the host. But before I get you out of here, buddy, you are now helping out with the program as offensive coordinator, I believe, / quarterback coach. The team, hasn't had the best start to the season. But just maybe what is kind of the recipe for maybe a brighter future and for the team to build a stronger foundation going forward? Obviously, Andrew Harris will be coming back to town next season, but not to I know it maybe sound negative, but not to look at playoffs, but just how can they maybe look at building a foundation moving forward to kind of get back to maybe some of the older days?
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Obviously look at the season and going in, I think we're 0-4, 0-5, and not the year we hope for, the year any team wants. You gotta look at the positives. On the offensive side of the ball, we're starting a lot of 18-year-old kids, and a group that can build and only go up kind of thing. I think there's you got to pull the positives every week. Obviously, you have to be realistic about what's going on, and help make as a whole. Obviously, we want the offense to get better, but I think the team to help the thing that's going to help this team thrive a lot is helping Ben as our quarterback become a better quarterback. Okay, our receivers become better receivers, our O-line become better O-linemen, and in turn, as we come into the end of this year and starting next year, these individuals, we can start to get that team vibe and them blending together and coming together as a group instead of individuals. But I think at this point, just kind of helping guys hone in their skills and becoming kind of 1% better every day when they show up to the field, and giving them as much knowledge as I can give them as the OC, and then just kind of putting them in positions to succeed. Right at the end of the day, I've learned a lot about coaching, and I learned a lot of, I thought when we played as a coach, you have so much power and all this stuff, and you realize as a coach, you really don't have a lot of say. You can call plays and put guys in spots, but you're really left up to what your players can do, right? And it's kind of getting those guys prepared to make the big plays and big moments, right? And that's the difference between teams that we played on with a lot of veteran guys and a young team is, we're very, very young, And that's, a blessing and a curse in a sense for years to come. It's, it's hard these years, but in the next, 3-4 years with all these guys that are starting as rookies, you hope they stick around and you build a better foundation.
I'm not too sure how many of the team will be listening to this, but I'll post it on the family page on Facebook. But my advice to the team, the younger guys, would just kind of be the stick together. I know it's rough times right now. It might not be as fun, but I feel like if you guys are able to stick together for a few years, I believe Ben has 1 or 2 more years.
He has
left.
one year after this, right? So yeah, just keep that, keep that core group together, right? And keep fighting and don't just kind of give in because it gets hard, right? So.
And with the, I want to say like around like 30 or 40 18-year-olds, with that, it might be rough right now taking your lumps right now, but in year 2 or 3, if you guys stick around, hopefully you guys can build to start bullying other teams around the BCFC when Andrew gets here, and hopefully things start to turn around some more.
Exactly.
So 12 to close things out. We've been going quite a while. We will talk some Bills, buddy. But anything else you want to close out for a VI Raiders perspective? Anything? I know off the top of your head it's hard to think about, but anything that comes to mind when it comes to VI Raiders football, other than maybe 12
I don't think so. No, 12-0. Like, I miss it like hell, and I miss, obviously suiting up on Saturdays, but it's what it is, So I'm happy with the way it all ended for me. So yeah,
it's VITID, buddy. It's VI till I die.
No doubt.
It's always going to be there for us. Unfortunately, we can't play the game anymore. But the family atmosphere, being family, when you go, unfortunately, it'll never be Cali again. But when we go to NDSS or whatever, it's always that family atmosphere of probably seeing some of your old brothers and teammates and family and just having a good time watching Raider football. So to close things out before we go a little too long, Buffalo Bills. Jake and I both being Bills fans in Bills Mafia. Jake, I will give the floor to you, buddy. Anything, Super Bowl predictions? What are you excited for this year? Josh Allen, what are you excited for from a Bills perspective?
My computer's been over. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Jake probably having a little bit of technical difficulties, which is all good. I will get Jake back in here in a second. Jake, try leaving and then coming back in. It's hilarious. We got through. There we go. I got you back, buddy.
Yeah. So so Bills wise, I'm fired up. Obviously, Josh Allen, like, he's a dog. Like, he kind of does it all. So I'm just excited to watch football again, man, and kind of get back to watching the Bills every Sunday or Monday. And we're in a tough division, though. Obviously being in the AFCs and stuff with the Jets and the Dolphins and the Patriots. You never really know, right? They're always kind of there. It's really tough. And then you look at we got to play the Chargers and the Chiefs and all that kind of stuff. It's a hardest division of football, but it definitely it'll be exciting. It's always fun to watch the Bills play. I think I'm going to get out to a game this year. My dad and I are going to fly out to Toronto and then maybe go down on the Friday or Saturday and tailgate in the parking lot for the night and have some fun and go watch maybe thinking maybe the Bills Giants or the Bills Cowboys game or something like that.
Whatever you guys got to do. And that's the cool thing that you have as well. You have that relationship with your dad where you're able to maybe text back and forth on a Bills game day or something like that, shoot the shit.
Dude, like, I can't even, game days, it's like, he usually PVRs it because he hasn't like the commercial. So like, I can't call him until like 8 p.m. because I'm like, I got to know he's done the game.
Yeah. And that's kind of a cool relationship. I don't have anybody. I have family members that are football fans, but no Bills fans in the family. And that's always a cool kind of dynamic. But that's something that probably you guys are looking forward to, going to a Bills game. It is a tough division, but I'm looking. Me, I'm always looking forward to Bills football.
We're probably the most optimistic people when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. Like every year is our year, right? So I think that the squad we have is obviously elite, but that window's getting, I hate to say it, smaller and smaller and smaller. So we got to start winning now and make that big push. Obviously with Josh behind the center, like we're always gonna have a chance. But those guys like Poyer and Hyde and Travius White are getting older and Von Miller and stuff. He had a couple of years, right? But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, we got to stick it to G and his Chiefs here, and hopefully they can't win every year.
G's in my living room right now, so I'll make sure to let him know.
Sounds good. Don't let him know too much. Fuck. remember when you came over and maybe you didn't come over for that game, but the 13 seconds game.
I was at my house. I watched it at my house, man. Oh my god!
I'm celebrating. I Snapchat G and I'm thinking we win. Obviously, we don't win, and I look like a jackass. So don't say anything too loud to G. But I'm confident in our boys, and I think we're like you said, we're the most probably maybe some of the most optimistic Bills fans. We think it's our year every year, and I don't think anything different. The Bills are winning this year. If you guys missed out on the last episode 23, no surprise. I predicted our Buffalo Bills to come out as Super Bowl champions this season. Jakey, I guess that kind of finishes up the episode, buddy. 90 minutes. I know I said like an hour. I know you got people waiting.
It's all good, buddy. Well, no, I'm happy to be on this. I want to definitely do this again. Coast to coast VI, coast to coast Gridiron, right? Keep on riding with it. So, like I said, hopefully you guys didn't copyright anyways, but hopefully I don't step on too many toes. Hopefully you can keep giving me a hard time, but not too much of a hard time. Like I said, it just fit my. It's all Trevor, I swear. Yeah, right. Shout out to Trev though, but shout out to you, buddy, for joining me, giving me some of your time. I know you were busy with Lucas. Shout out to Lucas, new homeowner. Hopefully, Lucas. Support the channel, buddy. Go subscribe. Also, you, Jake, if you aren't subscribed, subscribe. I'm on the road. I'm on the road to 100 subscribers. I'm at 75 right now. I'll get on there. I'll get everyone to hop on. Don't worry. Okay, sounds good. Shout out to Joni as well. I'm sure she's their faithful wife, I guess, or fiance, whatever. Yeah. You're next, bud. Yeah, I guess I am. Anything, buddy, you want to close out with? No, man. I appreciate you having me on, obviously, and like, I've been watching the episodes and stuff online, so definitely excited to hopefully get another one in the future and talk more Bills and stuff like that. I guess quickly plug if you want to quickly plug again where they can maybe if anyone that is listening is in the market for buying a house. Yeah, check us out. Yeah, buying, selling. Somebody that's buying or selling. Yeah, coast to coast VI real estate team, or follow our Facebook or Instagram and. Obviously, if you're a local guy in Nanaimo, anywhere on the island, we always appreciate the love and stuff like that. So, maybe we'll get you a coast to coast Gridiron promo code or something like that. Who knows? But I appreciate you, buddy, for hopping on. For those that are listening on YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, please be sure to follow the channel, rate, review, all that good stuff. Jake, go review me 5 stars. That'd be awesome. No doubt, I appreciate you joining me. This is episode 24 of Coast to Coast Gridiron. We will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for joining me.